Hello, you're listening to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, presented by Brandon Elliott. This show will be going over all aspects of real estate investing and is intended to educate, motivate, and prepare you to take action on your first or next real estate investment. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Thank you for listening and enjoy.
Welcome back, everyone, to Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Brandon Elliott. We have a legend in the game today joining us, and we're very excited to have this man that he's been in the game for, I think, 30 plus years and has quite the track record, has a bunch of best-selling books, is a real estate coach nationwide, doing several deals per month and helping out all of his students do the exact same thing. So practicing what he preaches, but, implementing these strategies he's been tried and tested over time as well, which is awesome. He's got a podcast out himself, and I really just want to dive in, talk about the market with him and talk about terms. I'm a big advocate of, every deal or every property, everything that comes across your desk has a potential to it. And you can either do price or you can do terms. So we're going to be diving into that with this gentleman today as well. But without further ado, Chris, what is going on, my friend? How are you today?
I am great. Thank you. When you said legend, I was like, all right, I'm aged a little bit. But then when you did the 30 plus years, so it's 30 years this fall. 30 years this fall. That's enough age, right?
Really grinding it in, right?
Yeah. Put some salt in the wound.
For anybody out there that doesn't know who you are, do you mind just diving into who you are, where you're from, and what you're up to today?
Yeah, so I'm the founder and CEO of Smart Real Estate Coach, but I've been at the business 30 years, as you just alluded to. Touched everything, not every niche, but everything from building houses to owning a brokerage and selling it to Coldwell Banker to rehab to commercial. The only thing I stayed away from and still do consciously is syndicating deals. I just not my cup of tea. And so where we are today, Brandon, with the crash of '08, is we redid everything, re-engineered everything, I should have said, to not use banks and sign personally on stuff. It caused a complete nightmare for me after '08. And I just kind of made some rules. So, in a box, here's what I'll do and here's what I won't do. Yep. And so we launched that and we've been crushing it. COVID did not hurt us. I hate to say it helped us, but it did. And so, we're doing everything on terms, lease purchase, owner financing, sub 2.
I love it. Okay. So for anybody out there that doesn't know the terms game, just like you mentioned, subject to owner financing, can you just give a 30,000 foot overview, quick, straight to the point for them?
Yeah. So lease purchase is nothing more, and I'm going to start with that because it's great for new people because we have a $10 deposit built into our agreements. So you enter into a lease agreement with your seller, and it's contingent. In our case, it's contingent upon finding your tenant buyer, rent-owned buyer you're going to put in that home, only after qualifying them. We can get into that later. And then at some future date, usually 3 years or so, we're going to go ahead and pay off their underlying debt after that many years of principal pay down, which we benefit from. And we're going to give them any equity we promised them on the back end. A deal's great for anyone that does not need the money today to go buy their family a house. If they can wait on that or they can go rent, perfect. Owner financing for us is a bit of a niche within the niche. Granted, we look for free and clear properties. About a third of the homes in the U.S. are free and clear. It's a cool pond efficient right now. And those create six-figure paydays the way we do it. We make principal-only payments to the sellers, principal only. And so you start doing the math on that over 4 or 5 years, it gets crazy.
It's done.
So that's that space. Yep, that's one of my favorite because the math works. And then the last one is sub 2. All that means is subject to the existing financing on the seller's house at the time we actually do buy it and take title versus lease purchase. And the loan stays in the seller's name until some future date when we cash it out.
I love that. So you mentioned about qualifying, and then just for the viewers as well, where are you finding these type of properties? These aren't on the MLS, correct?
No, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
So we go through the basics first: expired, for sale by owner, and for rent by owner. And now in this market, it's no secret to anyone. You are talking to more sellers to get a deal, even in our space. So we are niching down to things like tired landlords, a lot of free and clear. I love those. As I said earlier, they're usually not in the market. They're usually not stressed, and they usually do love terms. They're looking at estate planning and payments versus, so that's a great niche list. And yes, everything I'm saying, you can buy the list or you can go on to, in our case, PropStream or FreedomSoft and get the list. It's not hard.
Yeah. So what you're doing is basically the marketing strategy. That's what it all comes down to, similar to what wholesalers are doing, except you guys aren't flipping these or middlemaning it. You're literally taking these down yourself through creative different strategies with seller financing, subject to, and so forth.
Yeah, so this is a good distinction you brought up. Thank you. So instead of I did deals for 18 years before stumbling upon or re-engineering this business.
Yeah.
And the paydays are good. My lifestyle has been good except for that '08 crash. But 3 paydays is better. And we exit all our deals, and we trademark that in the United States. We exit all our deals at 3 paydays. And it was one of the things when I started back, Brandon, after the beating I took, I said, hey, how about in any entrepreneurial model, how about if we get paid now, get paid monthly, and then get paid on the back end? That's kind of a cool model no matter what business. So that's what we do with the 3 paydays. That's why they get so lucrative.
So now monthly and
long-term kind of cash out wealth builder. Yep.
I love that. Long-term. Cool. Now, for qualifying, to have these people qualify within one of these boxes you're trying to put them in to make this deal happen, what does that look like? Are you guys screening similar to a bank?
Yeah, this is good. And I'm not trying to put an arrow in anyone, but there are a lot of mentors out there, and probably some of them, that right now on YouTube, they'll say to you, as part of their teaching, hey, you do the rent-own, you put a buyer there, who cares if they buy it? Then you put another one in there and collect another deposit. They say this.
Yeah,
and I said, okay, great. If you can sleep with that, that's okay. But morally and ethically, I can't.
Yeah,
it's insane. And you're setting people up to fail, period. So we have an inverse relationship to the normal ratio out there. We cash out about 95% because no matter what we do, you're going to have 5% of life events, 5% of people that can't take responsibility. Sure. We do put them through underwriting, very strict front end, back end housing ratios. We don't, third parties, to be safe. Sure. And we make sure that they're going to be mortgage ready within the time frame that is going to fit our term with our seller that we can live with. And if it is, then we accept them. And everything else has to line up, a good deposit, et cetera. So they're a buyer versus a tenant.
Yeah. And you mentioned something right there, the third party company that you hire out to be able to orchestrate the whole deal. It's very similar to any other mortgage lender out there, right? They handle the payments and everything. So you can really step out from the equation to a certain degree, right?
Okay, good point there. So we don't, but yes, I have some students that use third-party escrow companies and things like that. If that's what you're referring to.
Okay.
Yeah. They collect the money, drop the difference in their account. But over the years, we control our property now. We probably at any one time as a family company keep around 50 or 60 in our portfolio. But as a community with the rest of our students, we're controlling like 80 million in real estate with little to no money down. And so we can have our own in-house accounting and things. But yeah, if you're doing onesie twosies, have someone do it.
Yeah, no, I love that. Cool. So when it comes down to marketing, how are you guys getting your deals? What type of avenues are you going after? What do you see is lucrative right now in this market today? Because I know it constantly changes every so often, every few years.
Yeah, slight pivots as the market changes. So we do, probably surprised the most, we do mostly phone calls and mostly through virtual assistants. We have one in particular that I've had since 2013. This guy he calls tens of thousands of people. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So he's well trained now. He's been there that many years, and our students can use him too. Now, with the hot market, did we start to, for the first time ever, venture out into some postcards and whatnot? Yes, but very little. Like I'm talking hundreds per month, not tens of thousands. So we are mostly phone call based.
So mostly phone call based. So no other avenues as far as like pay-per-click or text blast? No, I love it.
The only thing we do for our higher level, I was sharing with you, I was on a mastermind earlier with our higher level people.
Yeah.
We do with them a special program called Be the Authority so that we can help them over time. These are the more committed and serious people, but over time become the authority in their space. And that's done through a lot of either a blog or a podcast or a book or all the above. I teach them how to do that so that then in their marketplace, they're seen as the expert and people go to them. It's more of a pull.
Sure. Okay. Now, you said you guys are doing calls. So you mentioned one VA. Is it just one that's doing all the calls?
No. So that was the guy who's been with me forever. But we have a team. We call it our takens team, right? It's like an acquisition team with a wholesaler. Yeah. And we've got a couple VAs that are doing calls and a couple VAs that are doing admin. And then we got a team locally that does the appointments now too. And then my son-in-law, Zach, just oversees that. So it used to be me, then it was Zach, and then he built the team.
Love it. Cool. So principal, you said that when you're getting these properties, you're doing only principal. So 0% interest.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it could be just state related. It depends, I guess. But I was told recently that I was educated by a lawyer that there's some kind of
imputed
loophole or something. Yeah. Like you got to do some kind of percentage. Is that accurate or? Is that just
No.
state specific?
I love when the attorneys do the accounting advice. My attorney, who's very good, he's a senior partner up the hill here.
Okay.
About 7 years ago, said to me, no, you got to. I said, hold on. So it's federal. There's a federal imputed interest chart, and my accountant gave it to me. That's who you should get the advice from, right? Not the attorneys as far as it. So I posted on our platform. The long story short is most deals you can do without worrying about that. There's some over $1 million in farm property and some things you can't, but you can look it up. You can Google rules on federally mandated imputed interest. Very few properties. Nothing we touch is an issue.
I love it. Yeah, that's awesome. Talk to me about '08 for you. What did that look like when the crash came? And I know you guys restructured a lot of things because it sounds like the banks, had a field day probably with you, just like many other people. But what did that look like? How bad was it?
Yeah. So when you say you guys, back then it was really me. I mean, I had a few assistants here and there, but the kids were young then, right? My kids are adult kids are 30 and 32 now. So back then it was me.
I'm 31. I'm like me and the kids are right there.
Kids. So what happened was this, Brandon. I had about 23 or so properties. I was on every one of them personally because back then, like so many people do, I hear it still. Oh, my credit's great. I can get this many loans. Yep, big mistake. Because the bank doesn't give a rat's butt when things go down who you are. They don't care. They got to do their job. They got to come after you. Period. End of story.
Now, just to clarify, back then they were promoting and pushing a lot on the people adjustable rates, right? That nobody was picking up the fixed loan. So would you say that having a fixed loan is something more controllable, or are you still in the mercy of the hands of the banks?
Personally, for a personal residence, would I take out a loan? Yes, I would at a very low LTV, and yes, I would do a fixed. And I'm sitting in my home today, my home office. Yes, I have a small loan, like 17% of the value, and it's fixed. I would not do a variable.
Of course.
Does that negate me wanting to sign personally on any other deal? No, do not sign personally on your investment deals. You're making a big mistake. I don't care who you are. And I know I ruffle people with that probably, but don't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, how bad was it for you? Did you lose a ton of properties? Was it heartbreaking? You lose your home and then you had to rebuild? What did it look like?
Okay. So a couple of things happened. I didn't file bankruptcy despite everybody saying to do that. It would have been an easy route. I just muscled it out, made 10-year payment plans that recently ended, things like that. Yeah. So most of the properties were either sold at short sale, and back then the only saving grace was there was so many of them around the country, they didn't come back and chase any shortfalls. That was the only saving grace. Maybe one did. It was private. That's why. But the big ones didn't. They just couldn't. So they either sold like that, or two of them I hung on to rent, hung on. But the rest's gone. I have none of those properties anymore. And then my personal residence, no, I didn't lose it. I sold it, downsized to a 1-bedroom apartment, that 2.5 acres overlooking the water, a huge estate, to a 1-bedroom apartment. Rebuilt my life and my business and my financial structure to never look the same. Freed up brain space, right? Because that's a big thing when you got a steamroller behind you. And then the rest is history. So we've got a totally different structure now for a lot of reasons.
How many projects or properties did you lose back then? And
out of 23, 21, we kept 21. 2, rented them for a while, and then sold them.
Okay. And then over the years, did you quit or try to pick up a job, or you stayed committed and you just restructured?
I always tinker with deals. From 2008 February, I remember it was yesterday, till spring of 12. It took 4 years to unwind all that crap.
Sure.
In the midst of that, I did tinker with some spot deals here and there. I was still brain dead mentally. It took a lot to get back on the horse.
Of course.
And then when I did, as I said, I re-engineered it. But in the meantime, I did speak. I spoke quite successfully for a direct marketing company all around the world, mostly Israel and US. And did very, very well. I was paid to design programs. So that kept me on my feet when I did all the restructuring.
Okay. What kind of programs was that?
Through the network marketing and direct sales world, they had me come in and develop their sales. They were brand new companies, like startups. And they wanted me to speak and develop and sort of motivate, all the agents they have on the field.
Real estate related?
No, not real estate related at all.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
No.
So what does your team look like today? What does it consist of?
So 2 teams, 2 sides of the coin. We've got a local company here that buys and sells on terms in Rhode Island, Mass, and Connecticut. And we don't deviate from those states because Rhode Island's so tiny. We deviate just for that reason.
And where are you located right now?
I'm in Rhode Island right now. Yeah, our main office is in Rhode Island, right down the street from my house. So we buy and sell that in this area. Our team is, my son is the buyer specialist. My son-in-law, Zach, runs that takings team I told you about.
Yeah.
Nick has a personal assistant that kind of administers the deals. There's not much work in them because they're all tenant buyers that, hands off. And then on the other side, though, much more staffed is our coaching company. And that is all around North America, mostly US, but a little bit in Canada. And that is comprised of about 14 people now, because a lot of that is coaches doing deals in the trenches with people. We don't just sell stuff, Brandon, as you probably know. We get in the trenches and we do deals. That's the best way to learn, interactively on the fly,
Yeah, no, I love that. So what does that really look like for your education? And why did you go the education route? Why did you want to help out people?
Well,
I mean, it's time consuming. Like, it really takes away your time from your success, but there's got to be some kind of fulfillment deep down. It's not all about the coin. In fact, many educators, unless you structure it right, it's really not that rewarding money-wise, but the fulfillment of seeing somebody else succeed faster, quicker, without all the headache that you might have gone through, that can be very rewarding, correct?
Yeah, so I'll go that route first. So that piece you just said last is something that until you do it, as you just alluded to, you don't realize how cool it is.
Yeah.
And secondly, while you're doing that, this is something that you don't know until you do it either. When you're doing that, you get way better.
Yes.
Because you're always sharpening your sword. You're always staying ahead. You're always looking for ways to help. And you get a lot better. Now you look at our community every Thursday night, we talk to, 100 of them. The ideas that come out of that are just as much for me as it is for them. It's amazing. Yeah. We call it the Wicked Smart community. It's an amazing community. So yes, to that point. Good point. Yeah. But it started organically. I didn't get up one day and go, I'm going to do that. We have a war college here on the island. And there's a guy that was going back to civilian life. He had been through tours in Afghanistan. He was done with it. He looked me up and said, can you show me how to do what you do before I go back to Oregon? I said, sure. And it started with him. And then word of mouth. And then my son-in-law and son came in and we did an ebook and then a couple bestseller books. And it just grew organically to where it is today.
I love it. And what's the podcast called? Because I'm sure that kind of aligns with the books, the education and so forth.
It's smartrealestatecoachpodcast.com.
Love it. So, you've been through 2008, right? You see the craziness that's going on right now in our markets. And I have some stupid friends out there that have been thinking the crash has come in the last 5 years and haven't invested because of that, right?
I agree.
But it's not coming. It's not here today. It's not, it wasn't last year like everybody said it was going to be. So right. What do you see, and nobody's got that crystal ball, right? So any of the listeners out there, don't take this as the holy grail. This isn't the Bible right here, but I do appreciate your opinion. You've been through it in the past. You see the craziness going on. How do you feel about the market?
Okay, so to your point, you and I would be on the beach somewhere on an island if we knew. So
that's right.
Do not listen to us or anyone else as far as a prediction. But
yep.
I agree with you. It's funny, the news comes out with what you're saying, right? And then all of a sudden, every house in the nation is, I can't touch that. No, there's plenty of people that in our investing world need guidance right now, like a whole bunch that got hurt by COVID, a whole bunch that were in forbearance, like a whole bunch.
Yeah.
So don't listen to the news, turn it off. Secondly, if you're going to participate, the best time to participate, in my opinion, I did it in 2013, is when everybody else is going the other way.
Yep.
Because, not to be crude, but is the world full of people that get up every single day and do whatever it takes to accomplish all their goals, no matter what it takes? No. So the masses are usually wrong, right?
Yeah.
So if they're going that way, great. Let them go that way. The market's shifting a little bit now. It's softening a little bit now. It's great for the terms world, but even still, be in a niche that you know how to pivot in, regardless of what the market does. That's why we built what we built. And if you don't know, it's okay. Align with someone that does, because trust me, no matter what niche in real estate, I'm not so naive to think ours is the only one. No matter what niche you're in, somebody's done it. Somebody's done it the way you want to do it, and someone's done it through a couple cycles. Trust me. They're out there. Find them.
That's so good. I love that. So are you anticipating there to be some type of correction in the prices, the supply and demand, the interest rates? Any 2 cents on that?
I don't have economic predictions like with the interest rates and stuff. And frankly, I tell my wife I don't care because of what we're in. But I do think it's going to slow. I think it's got to slow a little bit. Right this second, there's some pressure letting up about mortgage demand and housing demand. It's letting up a little bit. How do I know that? Because I look at the nation of all our students and they're telling me, yep, sellers are calling back now. And then I see the deals going up. We do deals with them. So the deals just went up again in June. It was great to see. That's how I know. That's all I go by. That's reality.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Chris, where do you see the future for your business, for your students? Like, what are you working on right now that really gets you fired up? What are you excited about?
Yeah, our mission and our purpose is what gets us revved, and it's a 5-year. It ends in 22, and that is the mission is to dominate the mentoring market because of all the crap, in my opinion, that's out there, not getting people to deals, just selling them junk. So it's to dominate the market by helping our associates do 500 deals by 2022. We're about halfway there, and we've got some nice hockey stick growth going on with that. And then the purpose is really cool. To your earlier points, it is to help individuals and families, because we're a family company, create the life of their dreams. And we're doing that left and right with people leaving their jobs and because of COVID, gladly leaving their jobs and coming to us full time. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's very exciting. It's really awesome just to hear the progress that you've made over the years, and obviously learning curves, but restructuring, to where you're at today and giving back and helping out so many people. So I really do appreciate your time. I know the listeners took a bunch of notes and they appreciate your time as well. You just gave so much knowledge to us. Is there anything that myself or the listeners could do to give back to you?
Here's a simple 3-step process for the listeners. If it's us or someone else, get excited about a niche. Like you and I are in the deal. Then find someone that I said earlier that already did it and go model it. And then third, stick with it for 3 years. Don't tinker with real estate. If you're going to tinker with real estate, your bank account's going to tinker too. Yeah. Just stay with someone and something for 3 years. That's all. That's all I want to say. So it's not really anything you can do for me. Just do that for yourselves. So you have a great experience. Don't get caught up by the shiny objects.
Yeah, do it for your family. I mean, do it for the financial freedom. Do it for so many reasons, right? Do it because you hate your job and you want something different and you deserve that, right? So I love it. Well, Chris, I appreciate you so much. How can people get a hold of you? Shout out the websites, social media links, whatever, podcast as well again.
Awesome. Thank you. So the podcast is smartrealestatecoachpodcast.com. Our main website is just smartrealestatecoach.com. You can find a lot of things there. I'm big on free. We have a free webinar master's class you can go to. It's just the website /master's class. It's 35 minutes, my son-in-law and I. You'll enjoy it. For your audience, Brandon, if you want, I'll throw out a link. We have a really cool gentleman that came through our program 18 months ago. He didn't even know how to do a deal except for his own house. And now he's our strategy expert. He's gone full time. He's amassed a little $800,000 in 18 months. So he's got a really good story. He'll do a call with you and he'll help you see kind of what his story was and how it might affect you. Just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/action.
Love it. Love it. Well, I appreciate you so much, Chris. That's awesome. I love free, and I know the listeners do as well. Plus, the time commitment on that is very reasonable. So I appreciate you so much for giving that out. And guys, if you found value in this, make sure that you reach out to Chris. You also hit that subscribe button so you get the newest notification every single Monday for Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast. Leave a review. Let us know how you guys feel about it. And if you want to connect with me, you can always do so at facebook.com/Brandon Elliott Investor. Otherwise, Instagram, it's Brandon Elliott Investments. And then if you need any done for you services for credit repair, then you can check us out at creditrepairmobile.com. Otherwise, if you're looking to get educated, really be able to fix your credit super quick, or any friends, family, be able to build up several 6 figures, even up to 7 figures in funding, and then leverage it into real estate like we have, or Walmart automation stores and a bunch of other fun businesses that you guys are interested in, then you can apply and check out Credit Counsel Elite Mastermind Group. So it's creditcounselelite.com. But with that being said, Chris, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate your time, and we will check you guys out on the next episode next Monday. Stay blessed, guys.
This has been another episode of Ready, Set, Go Real Estate Investing Podcast, brought to you by Brandon Elliott. For more information, please visit BrandonElliottInvestments.com. Also, please don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment below. Thanks again for joining. Until next time, God bless.